Before I begin, I need you to understand one thing. There are some stories a man tells because he wants attention. There are some stories a man tells because grief has made him restless. And then there are stories a man tells because something told him to. This is the last kind. My name is Ethan Hale. Back in 2019, I was living in a small town outside Lafayette, Louisiana, studying theology and working under an old exorcist named Father Solomon Reeves. He was not famous. He did not have a television ministry. He did not sell blessed oil online or shout at demons in packed churches. He was quiet, patient, and terrifyingly serious about the unseen world. People came to him when doctors had failed, when therapists had no answers, when families had already spent their savings on pastors, root workers, and every kind of spiritual healer they could find. I was young then, too young, maybe. I thought I had courage because I knew prayers by heart. I thought evil was something that screamed when scripture touched it. I was wrong. Evil does not always scream. Sometimes it laughs like a child in the next room. Sometimes it hisses from inside your walls. And sometimes, if it likes you enough, it lets you live so you can tell other people what it did. It began on a humid evening in August. I had finished my classes and was lying down in my little room behind the chapel when someone knocked hard on the door. When I opened it, Caleb, Father Solomon's assistant, stood there with sweat on his forehead. "Father wants you," he said. "Now." I washed my face, changed into a clean shirt, and went straight to Father Solomon's office. He was sitting beside an old wooden desk, reading from a worn Bible with the lamp turned low. He looked up and said, "Ethan, tonight you are coming with me. But before we go, listen carefully." His voice was calm, but there was something in his eyes that made my stomach tighten. "Do not believe everything you see. Do not react with emotion. Trust your training, but never trust yourself more than God. And no matter what happens tonight, do not accept gifts, money, food, or even water from the house we are visiting." I nodded, though I did not understand. "Where are we going?" I asked. "To see a girl named Mara Whitlock." Mara lived with her parents in an old 2-story house near the edge of St. Martin Parish, not far from the bayou. Her father, Arthur Whitlock, had been visiting our chapel for almost 2 weeks, begging Father Solomon for help. His daughter, he said, was sick. Not sick in the ordinary way. At night, the family heard snakes hissing from her bedroom, but no snake was ever found. Bruises appeared on her arms, legs, back, and neck. Mara claimed something called the Serpent King had been coming to her since she was a child. I almost laughed when Father Solomon told me. A Serpent King. In Louisiana, people blamed snakes for everything. Bad dreams, bad luck, missing chickens, dead dogs. I thought maybe Mara did not want to get married, or maybe she was under pressure from her family. Father Solomon looked at me sharply. "She has a master's degree," he said. "This is not a child making excuses." I apologized, but still, in my heart, I did not believe it. Not yet. When we arrived at the Whitlock house, Arthur met us at the gate. He was a thin man with sunken eyes and hands that shook even when he tried to hide it. The moment I stepped into that house, every hair on my arms rose. It was not cold, it was not dark. In fact, the lamps were on and the house was clean, but something about the air felt wrong. Heavy, rotten beneath the surface, like flowers left too long in a vase. Arthur's wife, Helen, brought sweet tea and biscuits to the living room. Father Solomon did not touch them. He gave me one look, and I understood. Do not accept anything. After a few minutes, Arthur led us upstairs to Mara's room. She was sitting on the bed, dressed modestly in a long gray sweater, her hair covered with a scarf. She looked exhausted but normal pretty, even too normal, for the things her father had described. The room had a bookshelf on the right, a bed against the left wall, a desk near the window, and a door leading to a small balcony. Nothing strange. And yet I could not shake the feeling that light did not belong in that room. Father Solomon sat across from her. "Mara," he said gently, "may I pray?" She nodded. I asked Helen to hold Mara's smallest finger, as Father Solomon had taught me. Then he began to pray in a low voice. At first, nothing happened. Then Mara's breathing changed. It became rough, wet, animal-like. Her shoulders twitched. Her mouth opened slightly. A sound came out that was not a scream, not a groan, but a long, slow hiss. Father Solomon kept praying. Mara's head turned toward him, but her eyes were not her eyes anymore. The thing inside her smiled. "Solomon," it whispered. I felt my blood freeze. Father Solomon stopped for half a second. "What is your name?" he asked. The thing laughed through Mara's mouth. "You have learned many names in your life, old man. You do not need mine. Sit with me. Let us talk." I had seen disturbed people before. I had seen people speak in strange voices during prayer, but this was different. It did not sound like a person pretending. It sounded like something old wearing a person's face. Father Solomon asked again, "What are you?" The thing leaned forward. "I have been with her since she was little. She drew pictures of me. She fed me. She called me without knowing my true name. She belongs to me." Mara's mother began to cry. "She will not live unless I allow it," the voice said. "She will not die unless I desire it." Father Solomon's face hardened. Life and death belong to God. The thing's expression twisted with hatred, then Mara collapsed. Before losing consciousness, she whispered 2 words, "Serpent King." We left the room and questioned her parents. Helen told us the trouble began after Mara's graduation, when they brought up marriage. But then she admitted Mara had already been in love with a man named Daniel, a former classmate from university. Both families had agreed to the marriage. Then things changed. Every night, Mara heard hissing in her room. Daniel began hearing the same hissing in his apartment. A week before the engagement, Daniel fell ill with a fever. No medicine helped. 2 days before the ceremony, he died. Before dying, he told his mother, "The serpent poisoned me." After that, Helen and Arthur had called a local pastor. He came once, spoke with Mara, and promised to return. He never did. They told us he moved away. That was the first lie. As we got up to leave, thunder cracked so violently the windows shook. From Mara's room came a hissing sound, followed by a laugh. A voice slithered down the hallway. "Careful, Solomon. Careful, you have entered the Serpent King's memory house." Father Solomon did not answer, but on the ride back he was silent for a long time. Finally he said, "Ethan, tomorrow you will find that pastor. Ask him what happened when he visited Mara." That night I woke to hissing. It came from inside my room. I turned on the lamp, searched under the bed, behind the desk, inside the closet. Nothing. Then a voice moved against my ear like cold breath. "Tell Solomon to stop, or what happened to the 12 will happen again." I nearly fainted. A knock sounded at my door. Father Solomon stood outside, pale and sweating. "You heard it too?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped into my room and closed the door. "This is not simple possession," he said. "There is a history here. Find it." The next morning I went to the church where the local pastor had served. When I asked about him, the secretary looked confused. "Pastor Henry," she said. "He died months ago." My heart dropped. "How?" "Fever, sudden. His son died the same way a few weeks before." I called Father Solomon immediately. When I told him, he went quiet. "Then the Whitlocks lied," he said. "Go back. Ask them why." I went to Arthur's house angry. I accused him of hiding the truth. At first, he said nothing. Then I mentioned the number 12. His face went gray. "How do you know about the 12? He whispered. That was when I understood. This family had not called one pastor. They had called many. Pastors, exorcists, folk healers, root workers, spiritualists, even a medicine man from a native community north of the parish. Every one of them had either died, lost someone close, or disappeared in fear. Arthur finally told me. The first pastor had tried to prepare an exorcism. The Serpent King warned him that if he continued, he would lose what he loved most. The next morning, the pastor's son became ill. Then the pastor himself. Both died burning with fever. Another man, a famous root worker from New Orleans, laughed at the warning. 3 days later, his pregnant wife drowned in a pond behind their house. He abandoned the case, but the fever took him anyway. A third healer tried to bargain with the spirit. The thing asked for food offerings, meat and sweets, promising to leave Mara. But it had lied. While everyone prepared the offerings, the healer fell sick. Mara laughed from her room and said, "I only needed time to finish him." I told Arthur to stop. I did not want to hear any more names. My hands were shaking. That evening, Father Solomon came to the Whitlock house to perform the rite anyway. I begged him not to. "We do not understand what this is," I told him. "It kills anyone who challenges it." He looked at me like I had disappointed him. "Then we stand with God and challenge it anyway." The rite began around sunset. Mara thrashed so violently that Arthur, Helen, and I had to hold her down. Father Solomon prayed over her with holy water and scripture. The room smelled like copper and rain. The walls seemed to sweat. For a while, it looked like he was winning. Mara screamed. The voice begged. It promised to leave. Father Solomon refused to bargain. Then the thing went quiet. Mara opened her eyes and smiled at me. "Ethan," it whispered, "come closer." I should not have moved, but I did. She gestured weakly, asking me to bring my ear near her mouth. I leaned down. A hiss slid into my skull. "Then let your wish come true. Do not leave me. I will take your most precious jewel. Search for me after that." Mara passed out. The next morning, Father Solomon was burning with fever. 18 days later, he died. Before his death, he pressed a letter into my hand and told me to go to his old friend, Father Gideon Hart, in northern Louisiana. I did not go at first. Grief broke something in me. I returned to my family home, where my wife, Anna, was pregnant with our first child. I tried to rest. I tried to forget the hissing. Then one afternoon, Anna walked from the kitchen toward the well behind the house. A cottonmouth struck her ankle. By nightfall, she and our unborn child were gone. 10 days after the funeral, I woke to hissing beside my bed. The voice said, "I took your jewel. I did not cry when I heard it. Something worse happened." I understood. The Serpent King had kept me alive because it wanted a witness. For months, I lived like a dead man. Then, in 2022, after the world had begun to open again, I finally went to see Father Gideon. He read Father Solomon's letter in silence. When he finished, his hands trembled. "This is not one spirit," he said. "This is a nest, a hierarchy. The one calling itself the Serpent King is only the face of it. Can we stop it?" I asked. Father Gideon did not answer right away. Then he said, "First we must learn why it has a right to be there." We returned to the Whitlock house together. 3 years had passed since my first visit. Arthur cried when he saw me alive. Mara, however, barely looked human anymore. Her room stank of rotting meat. Her skin was pale and stretched tight over her bones. There were infected wounds near her mouth and ear. Her legs had sores that her mother cleaned every few hours. She could no longer speak normally. When I entered, Mara's eyes flicked toward me. I asked, "Is he still inside you?" She nodded. I touched her smallest finger. Her body snapped upright. In less than a second, she was inches from my face, hissing hot air against my skin. "I told you not to come back, Ethan." Then she slapped me so hard I fell against the wall. Before collapsing, she said something in a language I did not know. When I returned to Father Gideon, I told him the phrase. His expression changed. "It means the offering was not accepted." "What offering?" He looked toward the Whitlock house. "That is what we must find out." That evening, Father Gideon, 3 assistants, and I went back. We removed Arthur and Helen from the house. We sealed the room with prayer, blessed salt, and old protections Father Gideon had brought with him. Mara crawled in the corner like a snake when we entered. When she saw Father Gideon, she laughed. "Gideon, you know what happened to Solomon. Have you come to die too?" Father Gideon held up a black rosary made from polished wood. No more talking. The prayers began. This time the thing could not move freely. It slammed Mara's body against the floor. It twisted her neck at impossible angles. Outside, dogs howled and scratched at the walls as if something had driven them mad. For the first time, the Serpent King sounded afraid. Then it laughed again. "You sealed the room," it hissed. "But you forgot the Father." The door burst open. Arthur entered like a sleepwalker, eyes blank, hands stiff at his sides. He walked straight to Father Gideon, bowed toward Mara, and grabbed the priest by the throat. It took all 4 of us to pull him away. Mara laughed so hard blood ran from her mouth. "Check his pocket," she whispered. I reached into Arthur's shirt pocket and found a long iron nail. Father Gideon's face went pale. The nail had broken the seal. In desperation, he tore the wooden rosary from his hand and placed it around Mara's neck. She convulsed like a fish pulled from water. "Remove it," the voice screamed. "Remove it." Father Gideon leaned close. "Tell the truth, and I will loosen it." Then the Serpent King told us everything. 45 years earlier, Arthur's father, Raymond Whitlock, had been a bitter man. His wife died shortly after giving birth to Arthur. Raymond's younger brother, however, had a happy home, healthy sons, and land that the old family patriarch favored. Raymond wanted the inheritance, so he went to a woman who lived alone in the swamp, a woman the locals called a witch. She promised him a force that would destroy his brother's bloodline and secure the family land for him. But there were conditions. After Raymond died, his body would belong to her, and the firstborn son of the family had to be sacrificed to the power she summoned when the boy turned 10 years old. Until then, the spirit would wipe out the others one by one. The witch gave Raymond 3 charms to protect the men required for the ritual. One for Raymond, one for his son Arthur, and one for the boy who was meant to be sacrificed. The spirit could not harm whoever carried them until the proper moment. Then, the deaths began. Raymond's younger brother drowned in a shallow pond, though everyone knew he could swim. One child died from a snake bite. Another was crushed in a farm accident. The mother slipped near the well and split her head open. A baby died in sleep without explanation. At last, only the oldest nephew remained. When the boy turned 10, Raymond took him into the woods. He bound him. He killed him with an axe. He burned the body and hid the bones in an old cemetery. Raymond believed the bargain was complete, but the Serpent King laughed through Mara's ruined mouth. The offering was wrong, it said. The firstborn son was never the nephew. The firstborn son was Arthur. Arthur fell to his knees. He still wore the charm his father had given him decades ago. That was why the entity could not kill him. That was why it had waited. When Mara was born, the spirits gathered around the house. When she was a little girl, Arthur bought her a toy snake from a roadside market. The thing used it as a door. It whispered into her dreams. It made her draw serpent shapes. It made her offer food and drops of blood without understanding what she was doing. By the time she grew up, the Serpent King claimed it had mixed itself with her blood, her breath, her skin. It did not possess Mara only to hurt her. It possessed her to punish Arthur. Father Gideon asked, "How do we break the curse?" The voice answered, "Only the woman who made it could break it, but we killed her when the offering failed." The room went silent. There was no victory that night, only knowledge. And knowledge, I learned, can be another kind of horror. We left the house near 1 in the morning. Father Gideon said we would return the next day with a different plan. But at dawn, the church bell rang for a death announcement. Arthur Whitlock had been found on the road to morning service, dead from a snakebite. Helen later showed us the letter he left behind. He had removed the charm. He had made a bargain with the Serpent King, his life for Mara's release. The charm was folded inside the paper. When we entered Mara's room that evening, the presence was gone, but so was any hope. Her body had endured too much. The infection had spread. She died 15 days later. Helen buried her daughter beside her husband. Father Gideon returned north after visiting Father Solomon's grave. For a while, I thought it was over. Then, 1 month ago, the hissing came back. At night, I hear it in the walls. Sometimes I dream of a little girl holding a toy snake, standing at the edge of a swamp. She smiles at me and says, "Your turn is coming." I went to find Father Gideon last week. His phone was off, so I drove all the way to his parish. A young priest met me at the door. Father Gideon had died 2 months earlier. Old age, they said. Peacefully, they said. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But as I left the church, I heard something beneath the porch, a soft, patient hiss. So now I am telling this story because the Serpent King once told me he would keep me alive to spread his name. Maybe that is true. Maybe every word I speak gives it something. Or maybe stories are the only weapons people like me have left. I do not know. But tonight, before you sleep, listen carefully. If you hear something moving in the wall, do not call out. Do not look under the bed. Do not follow the sound. And if the darkness hisses your name, pray it is only a snake.